Hey, Jules Bless Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. People, I'm talking about depression. I know, it's a happy topic. It may not be happy, but it's necessary, right? And part of the reason it comes to mind is because the whole Meagan Markle, Prince Harry conversation. And I thought what was really tragic was that people on the other side of the pond, right? So Britons and Fox News, dare I say, were really going off on her and saying how, what an ungrateful, spoiled nightmare. She's in a palace. She's a civilian who got to marry a prince. I mean, how hard can her life be? She has everything she could want. Why in the world would she talk about being depressed, let alone suicidal ideations? And I just thought, first of all, that's what anybody says who doesn't understand depression or are completely in denial. Let's put it that way for sure. But I also was thinking people who are super happy and have everything don't have the tendency to want to kill themselves. There's obviously a deficit there, right? And that would be certainly true when we think about how many stars, right? Actors, actresses, people in the limelight, privileged people throughout all of history, let alone in the last, 30 years, have taken their lives. But they had everything, really? But they were the number one star. They should have been happy, really? But they had a beautiful, really? Really? Like, really? And I so get this. Okay, not the whole star part. But to be fair, I'm almost at 250 subscribers. Okay, I know, right? Okay, not that part. But I was totally understanding. In my experience, I was diagnosed with what was called manic depression, which is now bipolar disorder, years ago in my early 20s. Before that, even throughout my childhood, I was on this roller coaster of up and downs. I'd be so excited when school started. I'd be so depressed by Christmas. I'd be so excited by Easter. I'd be crying by the end of the year. Even as a small child, there was this kind of a dark oppression. And I do come from a family that has clinical depression, meaning the tendency literally runs in our blood on all sides. Whether it's activated is another story, and it certainly hasn't been for many of the kids, but it's been my walk, absolutely. So as a child, I probably used a lot of food and just uncontrollable hyperness and laughter and things like that when I wasn't completely asleep and in my pajamas every day the minute I got home from school. Like it was one extreme or the other. And then as a teenager, I started drinking as a weekend warrior, only on the weekends when it was safe, as if it was ever safe. But you know what I mean? Because I was a perfect A student throughout the week. And then later, I became a pill gourmet briefly and was kind of playing Russian roulette with pills, like all these ways to try and cope with what was too big for me to handle. I didn't feel like I had the tools for my life when I became an adult. It was just expected I would know how to do things. I didn't have a checkbook. I didn't have anything. I didn't know how to do it. But I was supposed to navigate my way, and it really scared me, and I would rather anesthetize myself, right? There were a lot of things like that. My parents had a lot of kids, and as a child, I was the youngest, and my father often said, as soon as Juliana turns 18, I'm out of here. Like, he was exhausted. I get it. But as a child, I was super afraid to turn 18 because I was afraid my life was going to implode. And so there was a lot of those things going on for me. And then finally, I did start to get clean, basically with my eating with Overeaters Anonymous. When I was 21, 22, 23, and things were getting a little bit better. And then I was trying to impress this guy that I thought would actually make a really good partner. And he had wine and things for dinner, and I dared to partake. And his roommate ended up raping me, and I was 26. And that absolutely sobered me, I was never going to drink again. I hated the helplessness of not being able to push him off of me. It was just a terrible experience. I don't recommend it to anyone. Let's put it that way. But anyway, so that led me back to my safer drug, which of course was food. And I went for broke. I didn't even put this together until I'm saying it right now. I was trying to figure out, why was I all of a sudden at 25, I looked darling. I had my 25th birthday. It was a Mexican fiesta, and I remember the beautiful sweater and just the whole thing. And then all of a sudden, I was 100 pounds overweight at 27. I didn't even put together that I'd just been raped at 26. Like, I'm so good at compartmentalizing, right? And just putting things away if they don't serve me in the moment. But anyway, so with all of that, I was put on a lot of medications. And up until a few years ago, I literally was on 8 medications. And some of those were for first antidepressant, then from the antidepressant, it was mood stabilizer. And then from the mood stabilizer, it was a bit of an upper because I was too stabilized. And then it was, Wellbutrin to manage my weight. And it was like literally, 8 medications. And that wasn't that many years ago. And I think I finally got off of all prescription medications, which I cannot recommend to you. You definitely need to talk to your doctor with that. But for me, one of the medications was devastating my kidneys. And I ended up with stage 4 kidney disease. And I was about 10 points from dialysis. And that was for a contradiction, which means an interaction with Advil, Motrin. I was taking Motrin, and it was absolutely double dosing with all those medications on my kidneys. And so that also was a wake-up call. And though my doctors wanted to give me a little bit of poison, I insisted on getting off of all medication. And by God's grace and time and the support of a group, because that's the big thing. That's what I was thinking about Meagan. She moved into this new situation. She had the expectation of what she sort of thought it might be like, and the reality of what became a quick nightmare for her, but not wanting to, worry her husband because he already lost his mother, and his mother suffered from depression. So that's like an off topic and the whole thing. And just being a bird in a gilded cage, right? Like so beautiful and so completely trapped and no tools to deal with it, which of course led to those suicidal ideations. I, for 10 years, woke up every day planning to kill myself. I realized early on that as long as you don't have the weapons, have the drugs, have the, means, the rope, whatever, that you probably won't kill yourself. But the desire and the weird mindset that really didn't belong to me, but it was an oppression upon me, was for 10 years. So I got it when Meagan was saying it wasn't me, but it wouldn't stop haunting me either. It becomes a horrific obsession. And so that went on for years. And what was the ultimate was that I was on the standard American diet, eating food-like products, right? That were completely devoid of nutrients. And I've said before that I was a person who could go for weeks at a time on just packaged nonsense, And so inevitably, my body wouldn't register that I'd eaten, and in trying to get nutrients would encourage me to eat more and more, which I happily did, and all the way up to 330 pounds. All that toxicity in me, of course, aided in that depression, of course, aided in that mindset, that life wasn't precious. Oh, sorry, something is seriously getting me right now. I don't know what. We just got our system worked on, and it's probably stuff coming upon me. But anyway, so yeah, it was a total insanity. And I stayed with that until, praise God, about 4 years ago, when I realized that if I didn't make a change, I'd gotten down to 200 several times. And again, off of all things, no alcohol since I was 26, no pill gourmet since I was really probably like 20, well, probably the same age, around 26. And only food, thus far. I didn't abuse those prescription drugs, praise God. But a few years ago, when I had lost and gained weight for the 6th time in my adult life, 100 pounds, I was right on the cusp again of being 100 pounds more. So still completely overweight, but I'd gotten down to 200 for the umpteenth time, never going below, didn't feel safe. And all of a sudden I found myself at 281. And I just thought, oh my Lord, if I don't do something different right now, I'm going to be in huge trouble. Not to mention, I just didn't feel well. I was drowning in acid reflux. I had so many just physical ailments. And I thought whatever I was able to do when I was obese in my youth, and not as a kid and not even as a teen, I thought I was fat, but by all accounts I wasn't. Just in my adult life, literally, when I didn't have the tools to do life, I freaked out and put on all that weight. But anyway, I realized I was going to be in serious trouble because at 50, and I was actually 51, my body was not being as kind in being able to handle the weight. My edema was through the roof. I was being hospitalized for my swollen limbs. So between that and realizing that I wasn't going to be able to recover as I had in the past, and every addiction gets worse and worse, and this was certainly the case, I started to turn it around, thank God. But today I am on no medication. So am I still depressed? Yes, unfortunately, yes. I still suffer from depression. But I know that when I eat clean, when I eat live food, living food for a live body, I have my best chance of being able to cope with that. So just like with the COVID, I have my best chance in exposure to fighting it if I really am eating a loving, pristine, God-given diet, which, praise God, I am at this time. I wouldn't risk that if I was faking it, as I have so many times in the past. I finally got to the point where I promised I would never go to a doctor again and ask him what the problem was or how to fix me, when I knew innately that I was the one causing all of the ailments from my actions, right? So with that, so much of my depression has subsided. And I feel like when Meagan finally was able to tell Harry, where she was just like, I'm going to actually kill myself if I don't admit to my husband this struggle. We have an event coming up and my husband doesn't think I can handle it. And I'm going to tell him what I can't handle is being home alone, because I can't be trusted when I'm alone, right? And I so get that. So I finally told my husband in the early years about my manic depression, which he absolutely experienced on way too many occasions. And mine was cyclical, where I would laugh, I can speak, hysterically, and then come down to crying uncontrollably, and then start laughing in the middle of that, and this up and down roller coaster in a very brief period of time. And when I proposed to him that to save my kidneys and to save my life, I needed to get off medication against doctor's will, he was very scared, But I knew that for the first time I actually had a partner that I was walking through life. The early days of all of that, I didn't have anybody. I had the stability of a partner. I had the stability of support groups. And, I'm a 12-stepper. And if you don't know that, I am. Hi, I'm Juliana, compulsive overeater and, cross addict in recovery from everything. But what I love about the 12-step program, and especially now in the COVID, there's no better time if you're a person who needs additional support, whether it's Overeaters Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Sex Addicts Anonymous, all the Anonymouses, or if you have the addict in your life and you need Al-Anon, which is the support of people who love addicts, there's no better time, because right now it's all online, they're around the clock, and you can essentially be a voyeur and just, watch those and benefit from the conversation until you're willing to have the conversation. So because it is anonymous, there was no greater gift than to be able to share my absolute truth. There's no crosstalk either, so no one's allowed to correct or fix you, which is beautiful. So you just share until you work your way through whatever the issue is. And I will tell you that was a tremendous benefit to me and gave me the courage, almost as a dress rehearsal, to speak to those people that I do care about. Sometimes when you're feeling alone in a circumstance, in your own home, in your own relationship, it's because you haven't really revealed who you are to that person. You're still pretending to meet their needs. You're still waking up 2 hours early to put on your makeup so they don't see who you are. You're still afraid to get naked in front of whoever, or just truly your naked truth, if not symbolic of your body. So I just think the greatest way to deal with depression is truth. And God only reveals that to us in brief periods, right? Because he knows what we can handle, especially if you were traumatized as a child, which was certainly me, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, sexually abused, the whole thing, on many levels. And some of that on even deeper levels, if I can even believe it, come at a time when presumably I am stronger or have greater support to handle it. And that's just God's grace. That's God's grace. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I understand Meagan. I'm so glad she told her truth. I'm so happy she has someone to support her. And I'm really sorry for what they went through. You know, I don't understand it. I'm not African American. For me, I may have stumbled myself. I don't think I would have asked someone, what color do you think your child's going to be? I mean, I'm a God person. I know all children are a blessing and they're all beautiful. I don't think I would ever ask someone that. If there was confusion at all, it's because it was a white and black person. And so there would be a wonder, but I studied Mendel's peas, as we all did in science, and we know that 1/4 could be anything, right? Not a zebra, but it could have been white all the way. It could have been very black. It could have been in between. Like, no matter your combination, right? Some kids are going to have red hair, some will have black, some will have brown, some will have blue eyes. I mean, it depends. Mendel's peas, 25% of anything. And I don't think I would have done that, but if I ever have in my life, forgive me. But that was naive and stupid and offensive and awful. And I wish she had a voice in that moment. I wish Harry had a voice in that moment to say, are you flipping kidding me? This is my kid. There's a meme going on right now where it's really funny because, you know, they're saying that they're so offended, you know, Meagan and Harry, and oh my gosh. And then Oprah's like, why? Did they ask if, why? Because you're ginger is what she says to Harry, which is super funny. Meaning, were you afraid the kid would come out with red hair as opposed to coming out with dark skin? I mean, it's very funny, but yeah, that is sort of the ridiculousness of it. And I'm so sorry for that. But I'm really glad that they decided to go in a different direction. I hope there'll be some amends made in time. But when you say yes to your partner, that is your new life, right? I mean, biblically it says a man will leave, you know, his parents, a daughter will leave her parents to ultimately become their union and go forward. And these two have definitely done that. And yes, they had to leave countries and everything to do that. But I'm just saying that if you have depression, there's a lot of ways to get help with that. Even if you can't be honest with your immediate family, people in the world understand. And I'm probably one of those people. So I'm Jules, I'm blessed, I'm vegan. I suffer from clinical depression, which is at bay, but it does haunt me from time to time. I've experienced many levels, and I could certainly support you if you'd like to share. Not just in the chat, but I'm Jules Plus Vegan everywhere. You can find me Jules Plus Vegan at Gmail, Jules Plus Vegan at Yahoo, Jules Plus Vegan, Instagram, instant messages, Facebook. I'm around, right? Wait, am I Jules Plus Vegan on Facebook? I think I'm just Juliana McCants right now, but you can find me. Otherwise, know that I always pray for this community. And best of all, know that you're blessed.